I love the music. The DJ is incredible.
The people are really awesome.
Frank, headshot, sit down, and do it, pass out, wake up, made it.
Welcome back, brothers and sisters. This is Alchemix. You've stumbled upon the Alchemix channel today, and we're going to be looking at a very interesting product by a company called Irijules. This is the Theory Board, the THY333. And I waited for this one a little bit. I heard about the Kickstarter. I thought it was a very interesting concept, and I waited because the early prototype models definitely looked rough. So I hopped on once I saw this less prototype looking, more production model here, and I'm glad I waited. I also hesitated because I'd clicked the ad off of Instagram, and I had one in the checkout. It was telling me last chance, it was the last chance to get this super price before it doubles in price. And a couple days later, since I hesitated, they sent me an email giving me a $50 off offer. So I would recommend, if you're thinking $600 is a little steep, see if that's still working for you. Put one in the cart, leave it for a couple days, and hopefully they get you that $50 off. Personally, I think the last chance is not completely accurate. I got mine months ago and waited for it till just this last month in June, and I think that it's unlikely they'll be able to double the price on this. I think the price is just about right. I think in a few months it'll probably come down to about $350. I think is going to be the actual correct price for this current design as it sits in the firmware, unless it sees some really impressive updates quickly. I think that's going to be the more accurate price. I don't think $1,200 is achievable for this company with what they currently are offering. I'm not saying that it's bad, but let's talk a little bit about how I received it. It was in a cardboard box. I'll put some video up of that, and it was just situated between two airbags, and the box was a little crushed when I received it. Luckily, overall, the unit was intact. It did come in this little carry case. I do like this. It's a little kind of mesh baggy thing, and it's about right for moving this thing around. As far as build quality goes, my number one really comes down to hardware. I love hardware. It's a controller, sure, but the hardware itself is why I'm attracted to it. And the first thing I noticed right out the box, there's a little click in there, some loose piece of plastic flopping around inside of the case. That is just so disappointing for me. No matter how I slice it, I like the product, I like the concept, but that right there just is a huge indication. There was 1,000 of these molds on a tree or something, and if you over torque one of the screws or something, a little part can break loose inside, and that's just, I know it sucks, but that is very telling to me. It's so disappointing to receive a brand new product you paid hundreds of dollars for, and there's some loose rinky-tink shit flopping around inside. I can also see where the seams kind of get wide in places. It's not a really perfect fit. Kind of an indication the case might be a little warped, and that can actually also lead to different pressure sensitivity on the buttons and stuff. As far as the buttons are concerned, honestly, I like the feel of these pads. I got nothing against the feel of these pads. I think they're more than adequate for the design and use of this this instrument here, but I think that the velocity sensitive triggers underneath them, I don't think they're up to par. I spent a lot of time playing with all the different curve settings. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out aftertouch, and it doesn't feel like it's there. I have upgraded to the latest firmware. I've upgraded to the latest firmware on my synthesizer here, the Korg Minilug, and yeah, it's just, as far as I can tell, the aftertouch isn't really functional. I really played with it quite a bit. The touchscreen is probably the biggest disappointment on the unit. It's very finicky and weird. I don't know if it's just programming and they don't really explain it's supposed to be a double tap or whatever, but it feels very unresponsive. And, you know, it basically just lets you shift octaves up and down, lets you play with a few things and set the scale, all that stuff. But yeah, it's just feels clunky. It feels very clunky for sure. I've played with the strum settings because something for me when you're using these kind of digital type hacks is like trying not to make robot music, trying to humanize it a lot. And I've played quite a bit with the strum as well, and I think that needs quite a bit more attention before it's really going to be up to par with the kind of strum stuff I've heard on FL Studios and a few other ones where it doesn't sound just cut and paste, very robotic. But overall, it's an interesting, very interesting tool. I've used it with a bunch of different stuff. I used it just plug into software like Contact, and honestly, I don't know why, but in Contact, the first thing I hooked it up to, it still just doesn't sound good to me. I don't know why. I don't know if I just have cheap plugins, which I'm sure I do. I've never really purchased anything for Contact, but like when I hook it straight up to Contact, it just sounds really cheesy, and I have no clue why, because I have also used it with my MPC Live. I've also used it with Machine MK3, and it sounded great with Machine. It really worked awesome with the MPC Live. It really kind of replaces the need for like a 25 key keyboard and lets me just write the MIDI right in. Sounds great and has all sorts of tweakability to it. Like, I've been impressed with it just as a really a replacement for, you know, like a small portable keyboard, and for that I'll give it some props. But what I really wanted it for, like what I was excited for, was controlling an analog synthesizer. I saw somebody doing a Roland V synth in their Theory Board, and I thought that was awesome. And I got this bad boy, and that was the last thing I could actually enjoy, because you have to buy a very special cable that goes from basically like AUX to 5-pin MIDI, and then it's a type A, so it gets pretty confusing. But yeah, realistically, it would have been really nice if they put that in the package with the plug in. I'll give them some props on the plug they did include. It's not bulky and it's sideways, so it can fit, you know, on a power strip without taking up like an extra plug. But but yeah, overall, like, I think a lot of the consumers are wanting to use this with analog standalone type gear, and including this cable would have been a huge blessing for all of us. But yeah, it's helped me learn a lot more about this stuff. I'm very new to the world of synthesizers and that kind of stuff, but I've always been a big fan of standalone and live performance type music gear. So this thing, it's amazing. Once I did get it hooked up with the machinery I wanted to, the way I wanted to, like, I got, you know, just a million ways that I can punch out chords. It's not gonna let you perform live. Like, you can't really just, the amount of time you'd have to like spend learning this thing, like which notes are where and whatever, because at the end of the day, like, you still can't just like pound out chords like in these really advanced scales and have it sound good. Like, you have to play with it until you find which chords, and since it's just laid out on like buttons, like in colors, like you almost need like stickers so you can pick your 4 chords that you're actually gonna loop into your melodies and stuff. And like it's amazing. There's a cool feature where you can kill the chord and then just play the notes over here. So after you record like your loop of your chords over here, then you can just go back and play like some on the fly melody type improv notes, It's got a lot of interesting features. Like, they couldn't really have tried to simplify it more. They're trying to put music theory in a box, so it's never going to be simple. Something as complex as music theory, which is still currently evolving, like, as we speak. You know, it's always going to require learning. And for me, like, it doesn't replace the piano. I've been doing melodics for ideally half an hour a day. I don't always manage to do it, but like, I still prefer the chords that I'm learning. Like, it sounds better performed live by a human. Like, it always will for my ears. And that's why I think it's an excellent tool, because it'll tell you the notes that you're playing, and then you can write those down and make sure that you put all the rest of your instruments like within the proper key and create really musically coherent tracks with it. But it's still just, it's work. It's a lot of work. It takes time, and you're not just going to pull it out and instantly make a symphony. That doesn't happen on accident. But yeah, like, it's been a very interesting tool. It's not something I intend to send back. I'm going to continue using it. I'm going to continue experimenting with it. There's been products that I bought that I thought were going to be amazing, and I ended up just sending them right back because I realized, no, this is not right for me. However, it's still in very early stages, and there's just this, in our society, in our world now, there's this desire to just bypass the years of practice and like be able to just make it look effortless to do this stuff. And it's just, unfortunately, there's no such hack. Like, this is not that, and you know, you shouldn't expect it to be. You gotta be ready to put in the time with any type of instrument that you're working with in order to really receive the full benefits and understand what it's capable of. So yeah, I thoroughly encourage those of you who are interested in this to consider holding off. I think price is going to drop relatively soon here. I think firmware is going to improve. I think the next version is going to be amazing. But for now, just be aware, like, this thing is not some sort of plug and play hack to just creating any style of music on the fly live that you would maybe hope it was. Been a couple times that trigger hasn't hit on me, even with hard velocity, stuff like that. It's gonna take a while, but I'm impressed with what they've delivered so far. Like, they clearly have a very unique concept, and I wish them the best. I hope they're able to make this unit worth $1,200. But as I see it right now, this is not an MPC Live. That's a unit that's worth $1,200 and much more, really, for what it delivers. This is impressive, but I think the price is exactly right for where it should be at right now, and I think it's going to need to come down soon if they're not able to redesign this thing into something that delivers on their original promises a little better. Anyway, I hope y'all have found this helpful. I hope that y'all continue to make music however you enjoy doing that, and I hope that you're able to just find the purest joy in that, like always. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.